Let's kill that bass head. Let's do this.
I'm on the air, we got this podcast flow. It's me and Tony on the mics, we gotta let you know of current events, little gaming, sprinkle in some entertainment. We stay humble, but our moms still think we're famous. Turn up the bass and baby, maybe let that magic flow. Our spoken word is all the things you really wanna know. Having a good time on the show, T-Bows and Matty G. Tune in and hit subscribe and join us on the FAP.
Welcome everybody to the Freaking Awesome Podcast. I'm your host Anthony Bowes, and we've got a lot of things to talk about. We've got a very, very special guest today. Before we go too far, I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsors from this episode, of course, is brought to you by Blue Bow's Outer Rim Saber Parts and also CR Sabers. Now, CR Sabers, of course, is in the neck of the woods where our guest today is. And everybody, I would like to introduce Shannon Bradley. Shannon, how are you doing today?
Hello there. I am pretty fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I love that you are you put up your name under the Commander Selfie, which is great because we'll talk about that a little later, but you can, of course, find you on Instagram that way. So today's episode, we're all talking all about Star Wars once again. We got lots of things to discuss. We have a draw to get to today, which I know some of you are anticipating and been very, very patiently waiting for. And of course, Sabers. So we're going to talk more about that. Before we get going too far into this, I do want to, of course, mention that Shannon is a member of the 501st Costume Club and the Outer Rim Garrison. Now, the Outer Rim Garrison is a branch of the 501st.
Yes, we're a garrison. So around the world, we're separated into garrisons, or sometimes they're smaller squads. And once you get big enough from a squad, you get to become a garrison. So our garrison covers the entire province of British Columbia in beautiful Canada.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. So so I wasn't aware of that, and it's really neat because I often talk about the 501st, and I remember going to a couple Comic Cons and seeing the 501st for the first time ever, because it was I actually didn't even know what I was looking at. All I knew was here are people that had completely screen accurate costumes. I saw someone had built like the speeder bike. Another person had built Han Solo and Frozen Carbonite, which I was just like, I need this for my house. I don't care if it's a coffee table, refrigerator, whatever it's going to be. It's like, you needed this, but it had like functioning lights and everything. It was so realistic that I started inquiring more, and that's how I came across the 501st. And I didn't realize how big and how global this group is. But what I love most about the 501st is all the charity work that the 501st does. So I had posted out on a couple social media links saying about, a lot of us love to try to find something that, even a profession that we love to do. And in my experience, trying to find a job you love to do and a hobby you love to do are often polar opposites, because if you find the hobby and it's too much work, you stop doing it. If you do it as a job, you stop actually loving what you do. So here you have a hobby that not only is something that you love to do, but it also benefits needy in charity cases and everything like that. So how often does the 501st do charity events, or is it kind of like a per request basis?
It is a per request basis, and it kind of depends on where you are and what time of year it is and that sort of thing. And of course, when we're not in a pandemic, the Outer Rim, we kind of exploded probably 5 or 6 years ago, where we went from, just like there's about 30 guys to all of a sudden we've got about 120 active members right now.
Wow.
And we're pretty big, but when you start getting bigger, all of a sudden you start getting more presence out there and you start getting more requests. So I was probably trooping, and I go to like everything, 2 or 3 times a month.
Oh, wow.
Weekends were pretty full, and it's all we do is charity work. So, but it's not necessarily just the big ones, not just Variety or BC Children's or any of those other ones. We do small things as well. We quite often do school events.
Okay.
Which is always really very entertaining, because you kind of walk around. There's some people that don't really know why we're there, but then there's like parents like dragging their kids over. You have to love Star Wars. Look at Star Wars.
That's true. I would
And
force my children if I could. I am, as I mentioned earlier in the show, before the show, I'm lucky to have one of my children who love Star Wars. My other one is getting to be a teenager, so she still likes it, but it doesn't rank up there as much as everything else that's going on in her life.
yeah, having family involved is pretty important. My husband is not going to ever dress up, but he fully supports my going out and doing all this. So
Okay.
I'm like, I'm away for the weekend. He's like, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because I had wondered if, and I feel like in my situation it might be a little bit different because I had mentioned we were renovating, have some bit lots to do, and I'm sure when things calm down there'd be a little bit more freedom to do things. But Star Wars is one of those topics that most people love or hate. There's very few that there's in between. My wife likes Star Wars, but she doesn't like talking about Star Wars. So I'm always in a Star Wars deficit, and so I really love being able to talk to people such as yourself and other actors and stuff that have been within the Star Wars universe. But I had wondered with in this particular case, because of costuming, generally that comes with a lot of props, that comes with a lot of extra Star Wars swag that might be around the house, and if you possibly have a partner that doesn't jive with, I can imagine that being very difficult in your life.
I'm allowed to minimally put things around. I have what I like to call my Walina. It's all of my Shane Molina Hawaiian Mako. If you've never looked at his Star Wars stuff, you totally should. It's amazing. And he actually did these Bucketheads posters, which we'll talk about later. Okay. But so it's actually really interesting in the 501st. You'd think that everybody in there would be like the fanboy that knows everything, watched everything, but there's not. We have those people that will, analyze every line of dialogue in every movie, right down to, like me. I've watched all the movies. I love them. I even like the ones that you're not supposed to like.
I'm assuming you're talking about like the first, the 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah, and the Caravan of Courage, Ewok movie. Hello.
Yes.
So right. So bad at spouses. But we also have spouses who, their spouse got into it, got costuming, and they were like, oh, Star Wars, like really? But then after a while, they're watching us have all this fun at all these charity events, and they're like, hey, you know what? I want to do that too. So we even have people in here that they just love to dress up as something and raise money for charity.
That's cool. Yeah,
it is really neat. I've always said that in our group or in our family of groups, we're not just cosplayers. We are cosplayers. Like everything we do is for a cause, for a good cause, for, raising money for cancer or children or prostate or whatever, because that's all we do.
That's fantastic. I like the way you stress that as well. Cosplayers. Yeah, that's amazing. What a fun play on words. First of all, Jen has given you a little shout out. Hi, Jen.
I love you, Jen.
And actually, lots of love coming in from Jen.
That's Purple Hearts. That's all her.
Here we go. A question already from Drew. Drew, what is your preferences, Legends or canon?
Oh, that's so hard because, like I said, I even like the stuff that you're not supposed to like. Honestly, I like all of it. I can't pick one, and I know that's a bad answer, but it doesn't matter to me whether something is canon or not. If it's Star Wars and it's neat, I'm all for it.
See, I kind of say that's a true fan, right? I mean, I know the true fan out there could be very divided in being like, no, it's strict by the book and it's very canon, but it's like when I saw the Mandalorian had come out, and I, as a huge Star Wars fan, and I know I kind of go about this every once in a while. I go on a little bit of a rant about the newest episodes of Star Wars, and I'm not going to say I wasn't a fan of them. I liked them because I love Star Wars. And it was one of those things that when they came in, I was like, oh, thank God they made new Star Wars movies. It's not like the franchise is dead. So I super love that. But I just found what Mandalorian did in their first season brought back the true love of Star Wars that I felt like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 just didn't grab. And they were able to grab a character that, of course, I super loved and you can kind of associate with. Whereas the the new characters from the Star Wars franchise movies, like I just couldn't bond to. You know, it just even Rey, where I'm thinking, oh, it's going to go this way, and I'm kind of I really liked a little bit of twist at the end. No spoilers. And you know what? Actually, if someone hasn't seen them, spoiler away. But yeah, canon or legends. See, because 4, 5, 6 will always be to me the epitome of Star Wars. But going beyond that and seeing some of these Star Wars stories, I loved it. You know, if anything, the Star Wars stories even came in and took a lot more or brought a lot more of the original Star Wars feel than some of the newers, the 1, 2, 3s, and the 7 or the 8, 9, 10s, or sorry, 7, 8, 9s. So yeah.
I always say that even the bad ones, they all bring something more to the universe. So even if the story was awful, the music was amazing, the costumes were great. If in a particular scene the two actors together were super cringy, at least like all of the sets and everything were amazing. You can always count on the music. It doesn't matter how bad the dialogue was. So it doesn't matter what it is. Every single one of them brings something new to the universe that we didn't have before. And I always laugh when I hear people talking about The Mandalorian, because the thing going around was that even Star Wars fans like The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Was what they were saying. And hey, Dan, thanks for watching. Yeah, so I always thought that was really interesting. Like I said, even the terrible ones I still love. I made myself sit down and watch the holiday special. I did that to myself 2 Christmases ago, and it was so cringy, and I loved it so much.
Yes, yeah. I lived through that the first time when I was a kid, not to make myself sound even older than I am, but I was so dedicated into Star Wars as a child that I was like, this is fantastic. And then I go back and look at it as an adult, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, I remember cartoons like Droids and Ewoks, which also were pretty cool. And, you know, I don't know if you ever saw Droids, but it was supposed to be, it was predominantly about C-3PO and R2 and their owners that actually happened between technically Anakin and Luke.
Right.
So they had multiple owners like Mongo Bob and Jan something. And I can't remember the guys. I can remember exactly what they looked like. The one guy had like fiery red hair that was kind of a split mohawk over to one side, and we're all black. And then so any of our fact checkers that are out there that remember that, jump in anytime.
Yeah, no, I did watch Ewoks. I can still hear the theme song in my head. Because it was great. It's like, yep, let's watch a show about fuzzy teddy bears. I'm in.
That's right. So Space Bears. I love that. So exactly. I wish they'd let. So Drew says, I wish they'd let Karen Travis finish the Clone books. Now, see, this is where I have a little bit of a lack of education. I remember listening to. So I used to work as a graphic designer, and I was in a screen printing business, and the screen printer used to listen to all of these books on audio file, and it was fantastic from what I heard. And I just haven't gotten into the books. So when people do bring up a lot of the books, and I know the books were written by fans, and very few were officially allowed in that whole kind of canon universe, but I all I know is of all the books I read was the Bounty Hunter Tales, which was super awesome actually. So if anybody hasn't actually had a chance, look it up. The Bounty Hunter Tales is really fun, and it kind of goes with Boba Fett and what happens after he escapes the Sarlacc pit. So that was neat, and amongst others like IG-88 and Bosk and some of the others. Good, Jim. Jen's on the same. So I don't know if that answered your question earlier there, Drew, but I don't. It sounds like Shannon doesn't actually have a preference. Just any Star Wars is good Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and you know what? I'm kind of along the same lines, because I hear a blaster fire and I'm like, ooh, or you hear a lightsaber spark up and you're like, ah. So like instantly, I don't care what it is. And you know, a lot of my friends would say, like, I mean, how many times have you watched Star Wars? Honestly, I can't even tell you, because if I was walking by a TV and it was playing, I will guarantee stop, freeze, turn, and watch it to the end. no matter where it was in the movie. I don't have to restart it because I've seen it so many times, but I will watch it. I mean, I think one time I was out with friends and we were at a mall and it was on a TV, and I actually sat down in one of the chairs and said, "No, you guys go on ahead. Come back and get me when you were done," because I'm not a big fan of malls. I find walking a mall is very life draining. Not physically, just like literally, mentally, like I don't know. Something about malls just kills me.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. So unless I remember there being a few really cool stores in Canada called like I think it was like the Den for Men and the It store. And you would often find Star Wars related stuff into one of those stores, and that made it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
And it's not to rant or anything, but I mean, I do find that malls, they're 75% made for women. And it's like between the clothing stores, between some of the craft shops, they're not generally stuff that your average guy would walk into and say, "Oh, I'm going to look through this store," like a home decor store. Most guys don't care about that. So if you do, guys, you're lying.
Yeah.
So don't lie to your friends. Exactly. What a lovely thread count. So we like comfort, but we rely on our partners to ensure that they pick up the right thread count. So,
which is okay because we generally really love shopping, so it works out.
Yeah, it works. It works out really, really well. So, all right. So let's talk about a little bit more of the 501st. And as I had mentioned, Comic-Cons, of course, are super huge for the 501st. When you said you have a tendency to go to a lot of them, like, do you stick just to the Vancouver area? Do you ever like pack up all your gear and say, "No, I'm going to travel to another con somewhere"? Or
I'm pretty local for the most part. We have our big fan expo in Vancouver that I do, and Capital City Comic-Con in Victoria. I go to that one. My friends Jen and the crew are always trying to get me to go down to Emerald City Comic-Con, which one of these years I will make it. But I tend to stay pretty local. I might even get up to Northern Fan Con maybe next year. Maybe.
Okay.
But no, when I'm traveling, I'm usually going to Vegas with my girls.
That's cool.
I love
Does Vegas ever have a con, or are you just kind of like, no, we're just what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of?
No, what happens in Vegas should be fun enough to be able to put on social media.
It's true. It's true. I believe the same thing. I don't feel like the Vegas holds anything out there that you couldn't share. Unless, of course, it's one of those things that your social media says, "Joel, you can't post that up here." But for the most part, I feel like it's supposed to be one of those really super fun times. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me being old, but I'm not going to really get myself into that much trouble that I have to hide it from social media. So.
That's what it is these days. It's a good thing social media wasn't as prevalent when I was in that stage.
Right. The photographs. They say it stays on for 9 years if you try to avoid it. But
I generally do the local things. When I actually got into the Garrison, I met them actually at Fan Expo. I was working with Variety, the children's charity, on their table. I was with Variety for 18 years. Doing event management. I was one of the big managers of the big telethon every year. I ran a whole bunch of different events. So I met these crazy space pirates at this con, and I'm like, "You guys are pretty cool. Oh my goodness." And so like 2 years running, I kept talking to all these guys, and they were like, "You could do this costume, and you could do that costume, and that one would be really good." And finally I'm like, you know what? I'm going to join these guys. And I was originally going to be oh my goodness, my brain stopped. There's one character, and I was having so much trouble getting the parts made and stuff like that. So I was Juno Eclipse, the Rogue Squadron version. And my mom's friend was making the stuff, and she just wasn't able to finish it. So I was like, I have everything else for an officer. So I finally just ordered the officer costume off of one of those places that makes them. And it was there in like 8 days. I had to fix one thing, and then I'm like, approved. So for 2 years, I've been working on this thing. But during that time, I went to events. So one of the really cool things is that events, I always need handlers. So somebody who's just there to make sure, to help people get kitted up, to make sure nobody's rough handling them, things like that. Just like keeping an eye on all the troopers. So I did that for 2 years.
Okay.
And then when I finally got my costume together, I became an officer. And what was really cool about that is that I could still do my handling while as an officer. So,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't too long till I was actually on the command staff and everything else. But it's just, I started space momming. They started actually terming what I was doing as space momming. My friend Emily, we sort of joined at the same time. And so we're the space moms. Like we're the ones who, when we're at a troop, will go to every trooper. It's like, okay, do you need a break? Have you had enough water? Did you eat before we started? Like, we just
True moms.
looking after everybody, and it's what we do, and it's what we love doing. But you always need those handlers. So that's something we actually encourage our sort of recruits to come and do is if we're working on a costume, still come down, like learn what it's like from the other side.
Yeah.
And so that was, I got approved in 2017. So I guess that's 4 years now, almost 5 years I've been official. And it's been so much fun. I've been able to do things that never occurred to me to be able to do. We've raised thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Amazing.
Legion raises millions of dollars every year worldwide. And it's just so cool because even though you're just a bunch of space soldiers, you can get to the end of an event and go like, I made a difference.
Yeah.
I've raised money for, this thing. And then we meet people. There are some kids, we do some events. There's one specifically called Dreams Take Flight, which we do. And it's amazing. You get up at 2:00 in the morning to go down to an airport to meet a whole bunch of kids that are getting flown to Disneyland for the day.
Oh, wow.
And they're with their caregiver or potentially a nurse. They're kids that would never be able to go normally. So they go down and they just spend the day being VIP treatment, and then they come back. But going down to be one of the crew of people that's like welcoming them, because most of them show up, they don't even know what they're doing. So they're like, why did you wake me up at 2 a.m? But all of a sudden they get told, you're going to Disneyland and you're going to see some stormtroopers just like these ones there. And it's like, sometimes we do these events and we meet these kids, and I'll have troopers that it's a good thing that they're wearing helmets because they're crying underneath them. So emotional sometimes. If you've never listened to the Outer Rim Rookie podcast, that's one of my guys, Rob Williams, who he chronicled his journey creating the costume and his first troops and everything like that. And he reminds us, sometimes people like that remind us, we're doing it for the kids. We're doing it for people who really need it. And that's really special.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
not just a bunch of geeks dressing up in costumes, and that's what's super funny because, I've got a broad social circle of friends. And when I was talking about, I guess anytime I start bringing up Star Wars or armor or cosplay or Comic Cons, they either phase out. They're just like, oh, you're just nerding out on us. And, it's so beyond that because, you get everybody from different walks of life that are, everybody from students to kids to professionals to extremely wealthy business people who dress up in these outfits, and they're just there for a good time. And for anybody who ever complains about this and what people do as a hobby, you have to go to a Comic-Con. The energy that is in a Comic-Con or a fan expo is so amazing that it almost makes you feel like a child again. Oh, yeah. And you're amongst other people who have those same love and passion for either a movie or for a game or even like a comics book style. Mm-hmm. And I'm always amazed by the amount of people who put so much work into their costumes and just proudly wear them. And it could be something as like from like the 501st where it's very screen accurate to something that someone just made out of duct tape. And I'm just always just wowed by the amount of energy, time, and care people put into these things. And they could just feel confident to walk around with other people who are the same way. And I mean, I did a Comic-Con once. I dressed up as Star Lord, and it was just one of those fun moments that I thought, oh, this will be a kind of a laugh. I'll walk through. I'll just do my regular thing. And just people walking up to you and wanting to take photos with you and have a laugh with you. And you just end up realizing those barriers start breaking down between people. You know, like we live in a society nowadays where a lot of people don't even want to know their neighbor. You know, I come from a generation where you had neighborhood watch, where everybody looked out for each other, and that slowly faded. And I find stuff like this breaks down those barriers again and really brings people together. So it's really
you're absolutely right about the cons. Like I love the energy of a con. I am always so in pain by the end of it because I'm so excited. I don't sit down.
Yeah.
You know, and just have so much fun. But the things, you're right, like it's so cool. Me in my officer uniform, I'm like, I'm just an officer. I'm not like super cool like Darth Vader or anything like that. I remember walking around one time and I passed this guy who was dressed up like a business suit Tony Stark with the thing on the chest, and he looked so good. He was like a lot shorter than actual Tony Stark, but he was perfect. And he was like, "Oh my God, can I get a picture?" And I'm like, "Yes." And expecting a picture of the two. So he just wanted to take a picture of me. And I'm like,
that's really funny.
Get out of town. No. We need a picture together. This is really cool. Yeah. But and one of the things, unfortunately, that can be, some people think of the 501st Legion as being negative, is because we are so detail oriented with our membership that you have to be screen accurate. We have the list of specifics on every costume, and some people, you know, view us as being elitist, which makes me sad every time I hear it. But one of the things that, especially in our garrison, we're like probably the happiest garrison on the planet, and I'm not biased at all when I say that.
No, not at all.
No. We make a point of, like, if somebody comes by and they have, you know, duct taped together a bunch of stuff to make themselves, you know, a Hut Slayer Leia costume, and it's literally duct tape and glitter. We're like, oh my God, that's amazing. You did something Star Wars, and that's awesome. And that's how we are. And we have people every once in a while that will come by and their costume is like really good and really close. We'll be like, dude, first of all, you look amazing. Yay, Star Warsing. But second of all, like, did you know that if you change just this and that, you could come and do stuff with us? And usually we'll get people's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And then we'll get them involved, and then they'll become, you know, but then we've got other people. It's like, no, I just want to dress up. And it's like, you know what? That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. And with that, one thing that I'm really proud of here in British Columbia is the relationship we have with all of our sister clubs. So we've got the Wassaran Clan Mandalorian Mercs. We've got Alderaan Temple Saber Guild, Falcon Base, the Rebel Legion, the BC Droid Builders. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. God, am I missing anybody? I hope not. The Droid Builders. But we are one big space family here, and we troop together. Like, if we get a troop request from somebody, we'll be like, hey, do you want us to invite our sister clubs? And usually it's like, yeah, because when people think Star Wars when they're doing an event, it's like they think of us. They don't think that, you know, the Rebels are separate and the Mercs are separate. So we make a point of, hey guys, let's all do this thing together. And we are apparently a complete anomaly in the world. Like, there's other places where the 501st and the Rebel Legion don't get along, and I'm like, I don't understand. We're all wearing space pants.
I think that's the weirdest thing, right? I mean, because it's true. You're all here to represent something that you love, and that is the love of Star Wars. So why have any animosity between, you know, players or cosplayers or anything? So I think that's very interesting. So, but it is funny that you mentioned the word space pants, because of course I heard you had a space pants story.
Yeah, so you talked to my buddy Nick a couple of weeks ago about his space pants story. Mine is it kind of sort of involves Peter Dinklage as well. So I got these amazing tights for wearing under my costume that are like space, they're galaxy space. And we did this first. We were doing, I think it was like the Vancouver Canucks Star Wars night we were doing, and we're all in the change room, and I was like, oh my God, guys, look, I've got space pants, and I'm doing this, and we're all killing ourselves, and everybody's like, oh yeah, just like that Peter Dinklage video, and I'm like, what Peter Dinklage video? And they're like, somebody pulled it up and made me watch it, and because he's doing that thing during the video, and so now I'm like, I was Dinklaging before I even knew what Dinklaging was.
That's really funny.
But now it's I'm always talking about the space pants and
space pants.
Yeah, I love space pants.
I was gonna say, Peter Dinklage, he really gets around. So.
He does.
Yeah, he's super funny. Yeah, Nick's. If anybody didn't catch the show with Nick, you'll have to watch the replay episode or check it out on Facebook. Really, really funny story about Peter Dinklage in space pants, and my God, that really made me laugh. So
Yeah. I actually have a little story about Nick that involves Nick and my son.
Ooh, all right, do
So
tell.
my son is Darth Vader. He's 10 now, but when he was about 8 when we first got involved in the 7, he decided he wanted to be Darth Vader. And I'm like, okay, so I got him a Vader costume and got him into the Galactic Academy. So the Galactic Academy is something that was put together so that kids could get involved in these Star Wars events.
Okay.
Because to be in the Legion, you have to be 18 and older. But it was put together, and it's this really amazing group, and got him in. So we went to go do this May the 4th event, Star Wars Day event at the planetarium, and Nick was there getting into his Vader costume, and he's the best Vader I've ever seen. My kid was getting into his Vader costume, and Nick looks across the room. He's like, oh, come here, little Vader, come here. And he pulls out, he's got these amazing coins that are his personal Darth Vader coins. And
Okay.
he hands it to my kid going, this, and he looks at me and he's like, this coin is only for Vader's. And I'm like, Nick, I'm not going to steal a kid's coin. Don't be ridiculous, right? But Liam, my kid, I'm not allowed to touch it. Like, it goes into a special box. I'm not allowed to touch this coin ever because it's his Vader coin. And when I asked him when he grew out of his costume what he wanted to do next, he's like, oh, Mommy, I have to be Vader because I got the coin that only Vaders can have.
That's
so
awesome.
Thanks to Nick, my kid thinks he can only be Darth Vader for the rest of his life.
Yeah, why not? You know, if anything, your Vader gets better and better then. So the dedication.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if it was the episode with Nick I was talking about, but I did have something when I was a kid that made me feel like a Vader coin, and that was a pin that was the Brotherhood of the Jedi Knight. And I don't know where it came from. All I know it was my aunt's boyfriend at the time who got it for me. And to this day, I still think of it. I have no clue where it had gone. I miss it. I can still picture it in my mind exactly what it looked like. But it was just like one of those things. I think maybe at the time it was kind of like a rite of passage of Star Wars. And,
totally.
But that does bring us to a moment here on the show that I do want to talk about, and that's more of like our tech bench. We have a saber today that I wanted to show everybody, and this is from Blue Bull's Outer Rim Saber shop. This has been given to us, and it is limited just to them. So it's an exclusive saber. It's very beautiful. I'm trying to bring this up and around. It's called the Primarch. And if anybody saw my personal build, it's very similar in that silver, gold, and black kind of motif that's out there. Now, this, of course, is going to totally mess up my green screen effect, but I really love firing these things up. So I'm going to do that. And nice purple glow that really kind of goes well with this. Of course, it is a baselit model, so you've got that unlimited LED color combination. It's got that smooth swing motion, which of course I'm trying to do without knocking the mic. And it's got the the clash on clash kind of sound, blast of the flex. And of course, it's got like 9 different sound fonts from some, of course, very popular characters, much like Darth Vader and Count Dooku, Palpatine, Rey. So a lot of the ones that are in the standard fonts, but beautiful saber. To let everybody know to, of course, continue watching the show, because a little later in the year, we will be giving this away to one lucky viewer. So
nice.
It's super beautiful. Honestly, I would love to put this in my own personal collection, but at the same time, we want to share the love, and we want to give that out to one lucky person a little bit later this year. So keep on listening, keep on sharing out, and get in on the chance at hopefully scoring that saber for yourselves.
Nice.
Thanks again, of course, to Blue Bull's Outer Rim Saber Parts Shop. So yes, Jen, shiny, which is even nicer. And while we're at it, maybe we can take a quick break here, and we'll spin the wheel of names for the people who got in on, of course, this lovely Propel Advanced TIE Fighter. I'm going to bring that up as well.
While you're bringing that up, I will tell people I have one of these. Make sure you do all the training exercises on the thing before you take it out, because if you don't, it could try to kill you.
Yes, the virtual exercises are super cool.
They're fun.
And of course, it's got like the wax seals on everything. Just again as a reminder, it lights up. It's got music. I actually love this just in the box alone. So we'll. I don't know. I keep listening to it and I want to keep hearing it. So let's do a quick screen share and we're going to do this draw live. So bear with me as I do a little quick share here. And there we go. It's going to be a picture and a picture and a picture and it gets all crazy. There we go. So we've got people on the wheel. These are the people, of course, followed all the proper instructions and got themselves in for a vote. And here we go. Round and round and round. And our winner is Carrie.
Hey.
Congratulations, Carrie. We'll make sure that we reach out to you. If you're watching the show, of course, you can send us a DM after the show. And if not, I'll reach out to you and we'll make sure that we get this out to you.
That's
right
awesome.
away.
Do the training videos. Very
Yes,
important.
definitely do the training videos. It is a must. The virtual ones are fantastic. And it's just fun because there's the little games in there and it teaches you exactly how to fly the thing. It does have, of course, that auto takeoff and auto landing mode. As I was mentioning earlier before the show, it's a godsend because when you have to stop that TIE fighter and you want to land it quick, you just push the button and it just comes down on its own nice and slow. So super cool, super great. Of course, we're going to have more things to give away a little bit later, so keep continuing to tune in. And now we're going to get back to our regular section of the show. And let's see, we had other things. Of course, to your left, by the looks of it, we have something that I am super interested and super excited about, and this is, of course, a Gonk.
A Gonk. So I love Gonk. My favorite droid ever. Gonk, a Star Wars story, is something I've been waiting my entire life to have made, and it isn't yet, so I'm sad. But so because I don't have any lightsabers to show off, I brought my little Gonk here. This is a mini Gonk. His name is FLF-1E, which spells out selfie. And it's really neat because, and it's got his name right on the side there, but he has a big brother who is a full-size Gonk, identical. So me and Andrew Donatelli in the Garrison, he did so much helping me put this thing together. Every little piece that is on here, he basically made for the big one and then figured out how he could reduce it to make it match the big one. So I'll see if I have his remote in here because he does some really fun things.
I was gonna say, so is he 3D printed or was he molded?
3D printed, yeah.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
And he puts together with earth magnets, which is really good. So let's see if he's gonna work for us today. There we go. So he just lights up, and then I should get a little box for him to put on, and then he actually starts up. And so all the lights and the sound bites, which are all Gonky, and then
very cool.
He does. Oh, there you go, Gonk Gonk.
There he is.
And then in the back, if you watch, you can see what he's doing. His little antenna came up.
Oh, that's wicked.
And he does this whole sequence. It's really awesome. And then his little antenna goes down because he was communicating.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and he just does these things. And I was like, if it had a couple of lights that blinked, I would be super happy. But Andrew was like, no, we're going to make him do stuff. So I absolutely love him.
Very cool. Does he walk as well?
He does not, but Andrew is trying to come up with some plans on how to make one that walks. But the feet are the standard Gonk.
The Gonk feet. So cute.
Which are all 3D printed and stuff. But I love him. I'm not cool enough, or I'm not handsy enough, crafty enough to make a big one and do anything by myself. But a little one like this would help.
Amazing. I love it.
I know, I love him so much.
I'm going to look more into this. I might have to make one myself.
You can get the 3D print files for this guy.
Okay. Very cool.
I can hook you up with those.
Excellent. My main thing would, of course, be about the sound board in
Yeah.
there. My programming skills are very, very limited. I've done a few things, but so this is the funniest thing. So again, here you have a persona that you've chosen. You've obviously gone with the dark side here. Your mascot here is the Gong, which is, of course, the few times you see him is, of course, strolling around and or getting his feet fried. And it's really, really, really neat. Now, what made you, of course, decide to go with the dark side for your persona? You know, I mean, eventually someone's got to do it, right? You can't just have a whole bunch of Jedi and rebels out there.
Well, exactly. Honestly, I don't know that it was like a real thought process to go through it. It was honestly just hanging out with these space nerds and looking through the photos and stuff. And I'm like, well, that one looks cool. I'm going to go with that one. And that one just happened to be 501st.
Okay.
And I just, for me, like I always loved like the dark droids. The black one that looks like BB-8, but the black one I think is BB-9E.
Okay.
I think is his name. Love him. Just something about it. It was just like I loved. That said, I love my sister clubs. I totally want to get involved somehow. I am currently working on a Cara Dune, it's a tougher costume, so I paid somebody to make most of my parts. I'm more of a get somebody who really knows what they're doing to put it together, and then I'll wear it. I'm that kind of person. So I just have the armor to do and finish putting few little things, and I'll be Cara Dune. So I'm gonna be both sides.
That's awesome.
Dual member, but I love dark side stuff. That's why I'm involved in this show.
Yes. So, and of course, I forget that our time does tick down, and I do have a tendency to definitely forget about that. But I do want to talk about Bucketheads with you. And here again, if you haven't had a chance to get out and check out Bucketheads, I know there is definitely a line. Just look at Bucketheads on YouTube. There is this is all fan film made, but it's so good and so realistic looking that this could have come right out of Lucas Studios itself. The people have, of course, completely dedicated, throw themselves into character, clearly have had someone do really good special effects. I can't even imagine what a budget on something like that would be. But now it has done so well that it's they're launching their own series. Can you tell us more? And I know that everything that comes out, especially Star Wars related, is always very hush to begin with. But what can you tell us more about Bucketheads?
There is actually quite a bit I can tell you. I'm the production coordinator for the show, and how Bucketheads first ended up happening is Marco Bastow and Andy Brown are showrunners. They worked in film together. They do camera stuff like that, really neat stuff. And they were like, wouldn't it be cool if we could make some sort of show to showcase what we can do? And then, so like a lot of people, they're hoping to be able to do projects and stuff on their own.
Yeah.
And Marco had joined the 501st, joined our garrison, and all of a sudden, the two of them were sitting there going, we have all the costumes we could ever want for a Star Wars show. Let's make a Star Wars show.
Hey, wait a minute. You're looking around, you're like, we've already got all the actors and costumes.
I've got 15 stormtroopers right there.
Yeah.
So they started coming up with an idea, and it ended up the short film, which is this one, it was a 3-day shoot out at Panther Paintball in Surrey, BC, which looks a lot like Endor.
Perfect place for Endor, yeah.
A perfect place for Endor. And a lot of people are confused that it's not in California. But one thing we're really lucky is that we are in Vancouver, which is known as being Hollywood North. So there are so many film professionals here that were just like, make a Star Wars? Yeah, I'll make a Star Wars. I'm in. And so they made the first one. We've got well over 2 million views. We've got, there's about a dozen awards at different film festivals and things like that. Did really, really well. Yeah. And then, of course, everybody and their dog is saying to Marco and Andy every time they turn around, when's Bucketheads 2? So they're like, okay, you know what? We had more people involved. They're like, let's see if we can do a series. So we have 5 full episodes written.
Oh, wow.
And we are in the process of filming episode 1. So what's come out already, which came out last May, was chapter 1 of the first episode. So we're actually going to have 3 chapters in the first episode come out, and then we'll do a super cut. And that's because of the pandemic. Just we weren't able to
really slowed everything up.
Really slowed everything down. We weren't able to make any headway or anything for months and months and months. Yeah. And it's also money. We have no budget. We survive entirely on donations of time, treasure, and people donating to us, our amazing Patreons. We have people that have donated hundreds and hundreds of hours of their time. I'm actually a stay-at-home mom, and this is a kind of almost a full-time job for me.
Wow, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it's amazing. So when you're talking about the budget, we were trying to figure out if we were actually paying for everything and paying everybody and all that stuff for episode 1. We're figuring we're at over $1 million budget for the episode. And that's because we've got these amazing sets that are getting built and things like that. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's all for Patreon. So if you watched it and you like it, please become a Patreon. I've actually been packaging up swag bags to send to some of our Patreons today. And it's so cool. And one of the things we actually get a lot of questions about is, how does Disney let you get away with this? And it's actually pretty simple answer. When fans
they don't. They don't know about it.
George Lucas, back when people started doing fan film type things, he was like, go for it. Here's some sound files. Here's some graphics. Here's some hits. And so he thought it was amazing, because he understood that if you let your fans help build things, that's building your brand. It's building your universe, and it's good for you. And by the time Disney took over with Lucasfilm, it was such an entrenched thing in the Star Wars universe that they were kind of had to go, okay, I guess we have to keep letting you do it, because it would have been probably bad PR if they were like, all of a sudden, no, you can't do that anymore.
Well, so imagine the amount of people that would boycott Disney and all the new movies if you cut your fans off. Like, wow, that would be insane. Yeah.
So we do have a series of rules that we have to follow. We can't monetize. So we can't charge for tickets. We can't do anything to monetize the show. We have to make sure that everything is clearly indicated, that this is not, that we are using their intellectual property. We are not Disney. So there's a number of things that we have to follow, and we do so very, very carefully. We know that we have eyes on us at Disney and at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, because we've got a couple of people that we know. They're like, oh yeah, they know about you.
Okay.
And and I wish I could say it, but I can't say which well-known actor, and I can't say which Star Wars Disney Plus show, but there is an actor on a show who was shown chapter 1 on set. So somebody brought it up and showed him, and he was like, holy crap, that's freaking amazing. So that was
very cool.
I knew who it was, but I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
But
nudge, nudge. May or may not carry a lightsaber.
May or may not carry a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we make sure we follow these rules very, very carefully. So everything is just by what our Patreons are, and that all goes to things that we have to pay for. Like, we have to pay for catering, we have to feed people when we film, we have to buy insurance, we have to do some rentals on equipment. Though we have companies that give us like 90% off on equipment and stuff like that, but we still have some that we have to pay for.
Yeah.
And the more Patreons we get, the more we can pay for, the faster we can make the show.
Yeah. So come on, people, get out there. If you love Star Wars, if you're watching and or listening to the show later, we'll make sure that we get that Patreon towards the end of the show, so that people want to reach out, they can. I think that it really speaks volumes to what you've accomplished as a group to create up a fan film that, like I said, it looks so amazing. If people haven't seen this, you have to see it. It's not very long. It's about 20 minutes long, I think. And it is just so, like, it looks like it came right out of the actual, like you said, out of the universe. It looks like it came out of Industrial Light and Magic or Lucasfilms. It's so well done. And to know that this is just people giving their free time to do this and helping out, or just getting the support from fans of fans, which is even cooler. It really goes, and it speaks volumes to how much the Star Wars universe means to a lot of people, and it's really good. It's very positive, and like I said, this all comes back, and Here's the 501st, and they do a lot of amazing things for other people, and it kind of comes back at you, right? I mean, it's like karma when you think about it, space karma.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool, and it's wonderful to see that you can do what you do. And,
It is really neat. I never, like, living in Vancouver, you'd think everybody thinks about joining film at some point, and I never did. That never occurred to me. And it was one of those, like, I have 20 plus years of event management experience, big events, sometimes like really, really big, the Canada Day at Canada Place and Nike runs and all these different things. And it was one of those where they were looking for somebody to start coordinating some stuff. And it was like, oh, hey, Shannon does that. So they were like, hey, you want to try it? I'm like, okay. And it's amazing. Like, I never would have gotten that opportunity if I didn't join the 501st and meet these guys and be able to do this. And now it's something that I love it so much that I'm looking at when I need to get back out into the workforce, that this could be an actual job for me, which is so neat. But what I also really love about it, when we're talking about how I'm on the dark side, because they have cookies. That's really.
I have a shirt that says that. Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Exactly. Is
I
that
heard the cookies were a lie.
they're not a lie. They're not, honestly.
They're just mom-baked made cookies.
Mom-baked cookies. Space moms make the best space cookies. But it's so cool because our show is from the Empire perspective. It's, showing that these troopers, these soldiers were real people with, and it's not necessarily that you join the Empire because you're evil and you want to be evil. It's you join the Empire because you were conscripted and that's what you know. And as far as you know, you're the ones who are trying to just keep order in the universe, and these bunch of rebel crazies are, trying to just ruin everything.
And that's what I really love about this, because it really is, you're seeing the perspective from the soldier, and you think, oh, stormtroopers, they're bad. Well, no, they're just soldiers doing a job.
Yeah.
They've been told that, hey, we're trying to bring order to the galaxy. You could probably just led under the positive or false pretenses of, hey, we're doing good in the universe. And at some point someone's maybe going to stop and say, hey, wait a minute, are we the bad guys here?
Right. And it's something, and Disney started to do that with Finn, but that ended up being a turncoat story where he decided that the Empire was bad and he went to the rebels. I promise you that our show is not a turncoat story. And that's something that Marco and Andy have said multiple times. It's like, it's not that. We're not doing that. And I've read the synopsis for the entire thing, and it's really cool. And the fact that we start at the end of episode 4. So we start on Endor, in the Battle of Endor.
Yep.
And spoilers, the Death Star blows up. But we start there and we work our way forward through this period of the Imperial history that hasn't been really shown before. They're starting to do it with Bad Batch, but again, Bad Batch has that more kind of turncoat story thing. So we're so different from everything that Disney is putting out right now, and we're so proud of what we're doing. We have amazing people. All our actors are fantastic. Nick is one of our actors. He actually, I was surprised he didn't say it when he was on. He is a big character in the show, and it's so neat to be able to bring him into the show. He's an amazing actor, and he has such a history with Star Wars being so important to him. So bringing people on like him is so neat. It's so cool.
Yes. I actually really love Nick's story, and I look forward to his book coming out about that. But it's true. I mean, I never really thought about it until I watched Bucketheads, that thinking, hey, wait a minute, there are two sides to this coin, and sure, you've got, that Grand Inquisitor, or you've got that one Sith, that just it makes you look at like the taints the glass to make you think that everything's evil about it, right? But it's no different than anything else in history when you really get down to it. And you are a soldier and you're doing your job, and good soldiers are told that they don't ask questions, they just do what their job is. They do what they're told to do. And so it's really interesting to see that. And I, to just go off topic just ever so slightly, but it's slightly, I mean, not only as a Star Wars fan, and that you're part of the member of the 501st, but you actually have a military history yourself. Is that correct?
I do. I was very young. I did Air Cadets when I was a kid, and then I went straight from Air Cadets into the Army Reserves. I was a member of the British Columbia Regiment, which is light armored recce. So being in Canada, we don't really have much equipment, but light armored recce is the labs, so the very small armored tanks.
Okay.
And I was in there. I was in for 2.5 years. I got experiences that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, I've thrown grenades. I've fired very large caliber weapons off of the top of,
Wow.
large vehicles, things like that. It was really, really an experience. And I'm really glad I did it because I got to do all these things. I was in a car accident and I almost wrecked one knee. And then I fell off a tank during a training exercise.
Ooh.
I was kind of pushed off by accident, fell off the tank. And
It was pushed off by accident?
It was a weird thing. But almost broke the other knee, and I just couldn't do training anymore. So I had to do a medical muster out. And on the one hand, I was like sad that because I never got to do a tour because while I was in, which was, this is 20 some odd years ago, the only place that people were going or troopers were going was Afghanistan, and they were not sending female troopers over at that time because women were not being ransomed back. They were just being taken care of because women don't have the right to bear arms. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that. My liver was really happy when I left, I think.
I bet.
You drink and party a lot, not while on duty, but afterwards you do drink a lot. But it was so much fun, and it's really neat because coming into with the Star Wars stuff, there is some carryover there. Like I know how a weapon would normally be held. I know what proper etiquette is for you don't point to people. You always do this, that, and the other. How you would move with a weapon. Like I know all these things because I've done it. So that's really neat. And one of the other things I do other than coordinating on Bucketheads is I'm on set with Emily, who I mentioned before, and we're handlers for everybody in the Star Wars costumes. So we're making sure that the troopers are all put together and everything. And it's really neat because there's a couple times where like I've been talking to our military advisor on set, and I'll be like, well, why are you doing it that? Because when I was trained, we did it this way. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, no, that's right. But we have to do it this way to make it look good on camera. So it's really interesting. So I got to have that where I'm like, I know what it should look like.
Yeah.
But then seeing how
things have to be modified slightly to
sure.
That's not realistic, but it looks good.
Exactly. So it's been really cool to be able to have that background and look at things from a slightly off perspective that other people might not have. Really cool.
Amazing. Very, very cool. Excellent. So we normally have a series of questions that we like to ask, but unfortunately our timing is a little bit low. We do try to, I know. So that, of course, what that means though is we have to have you back again at some point.
I will happily come back.
Wonderful. So we're going to hold you to that, and we'll bring you back in. Maybe a good time would be after do you know when the launch of Bucketheads the series will start?
So Chapter 1 is out of Episode 1. We're hoping to have Chapter 2 out by Christmas.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. And then if we got enough patronage and we're able to do everything we wanted, it would be really cool if we could get the full amount of Episode 1 out by next Star Wars Day. But it depends on how much support we get as to what we can do.
All right. So having said that, how can people support you?
One of the easiest things to do is to go directly to our website, which I created, so I'm pretty proud of it. It's bucketheads-series.com, and that will take you to the world of Bucketheads, and you can go right to any of our social media from there and watch the show and get some trivia behind the scenes stuff. I have a frequently asked questions that has a lot of questions on it that we answer. That's the best thing to do. So www.bucketheads-series.com.
Perfect.
For that.
Excellent. And of course, if you are, I don't know if you're still looking for help in any other way, but if someone has like experience in the movie business or something that might want to be involved or help, is that another good way that people can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. There's a contact me section on the page, and or you can reach us on any of our social media. We've got people watching those at all times.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, I've been on a lot of the social media ones. Absolutely fantastic. You have a wonderful group. Clearly, the 501st, it means so much more than just people in costumes. And like you said, it is worldwide, and it's amazing what everybody does with the 501st and the good things that they just do for other people. So have fun, do good, and maybe even have more lifetime and good experiences out of this. So.
It's so amazing what you can do. I have actually earned my name of Commander Selfie. I selfie with literally everybody. And that's my Instagram, at Commander Selfie on Instagram. It's all Commander, all selfies, all the time.
Amazing. Amazing. So check out Shannon's, of course, Commander Selfie Instagram. Also jump onto the website and please support them. Jump on that Patreon, as you said. There's a little bit of swag out there for some members, and not only are you supporting a bunch of great people, but the film is absolutely amazing. And so go check that out. You may want to get in on this if you can help out in any other way. Connect with them because it's super cool. I wish I knew more about the movie business. I would definitely be one of those people. So.
We'd love to have you.
Excellent. Well, maybe I can come in as a stormtrooper one day. So,
sure.
You know, my whole dream was always to be at some point in a Star Wars film, even if it was some weird odd creature or something, even if it's for like 2 seconds. That would be like a dream come true. So we'll see what I can do. I would literally fly out to BC for that. So,
well, don't just keep in touch, and I'll see what I can do.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, Shannon, thank you very much. Of course, we are at the end of the time, but we will have you come back. And again, for everybody who is listening to this episode after, of course, the live feed, we'll make sure that we put up a picture of Shannon on our guest section of our website, and as well as all the links to Bucketheads. So if you want to reach out and support them, and links to their social media.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and spending a little bit of time with us, and we look forward to having you again.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the comments and jumping in and saying hi to Shannon. And of course, as always, we love to discuss things more Star Wars, and there will be more Star Wars coming. So excellent. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful night.